Welcome to this explainer, where honestly, we are going to completely rewrite the rules of how you study. I mean, picture this. It's 2 a.m., your desk is just buried under a massive mountain of heavy textbooks, you've got like 3 different highlighters going at once, and that familiar panic is really starting to set in. If you've ever felt that crushing overwhelm, well, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're breaking down 7 distinct AI hacks directly derived from the AI Student's Guide to Accelerated Learning. Our goal here is simple, but it's ambitious. We want to revolutionize your study routine, maximize your actual retention, and honestly, save you hours of precious sanity-saving time.
Because we all know the absolute grueling reality of cramming, right? You're exhausted, that third cup of coffee has completely stopped working, and you suddenly realize you've just reread the exact same paragraph 4 times without absorbing a single word. It's the worst. But imagine a wildly different scenario for a second. What if you could finish processing your notes in just a few minutes? What if you could prepare for that massive final exam without those endless, frustrating online searches, trying to find a simple explanation that actually makes sense? Well, that is the incredible promise of using artificial intelligence as your study partner. You can truly study smarter and not just infinitely harder.
All right, so let's dive into this logical timeline of how to tackle a new subject. We'll start with planning and prepping faster, then move into mastering complex concepts instantly, testing and retaining that knowledge, perfecting your final output, and finally, we'll wrap up with the smart student's conclusion.
So kicking things off with step 1, plan and prep faster, conquering the overwhelm. This first phase of our study cycle is really all about getting organized and just reducing that initial dread you feel when looking at a massive textbook.
Let's look at the old way versus the new way. The old way of studying basically meant reading an entire, dense chapter multiple times, just kind of hoping the information would eventually sink in through sheer repetition. This falls into the trap of what we call passive reading. It's that dangerous illusion where, just because you're moving your eyes over the words, you mistakenly think you're actually learning. It's exhausting and incredibly inefficient. The new way? Using AI to generate instant revision-ready notes. Instead of passively scanning pages, you are immediately extracting the absolute highest value information right from the jump, skipping the fluff entirely.
But to do this right, you need the right instructions, and this exact prompt is basically your secret sauce. Summarize this chapter into easy bullet points with important formulas and definitions. Especially for last-minute exam prep, this is a lifesaver. Think of the AI like a gold panner sieve. When you paste your text in, it washes away all the confusing academic jargon and the filler paragraphs, leaving you with only the highly concentrated golden nuggets of definitions and formulas you actually need to memorize. Within seconds, you aren't staring at 30 daunting pages. You have a clear, totally actionable summary.
But here's the thing, having notes is really only half the battle. Time management is honestly just as critical. So whether you're 15 days out, 10 days out, or pushing it at 5 days out from exam day, AI can automatically organize your subjects, schedule your revision sessions, and even program your breaks across that entire period. This is all about drastically reducing your cognitive load. By outsourcing the exhausting mental gymnastics of figuring out what to study and when to study it, you get to preserve all your valuable brain power for the actual act of studying.
So, try using a very specific prompt, like this. I have 15 days left before exams. I study 4 hours daily. Create a complete study timetable. By doing this, you instantly generate a personal schedule based on your exact parameters. And what's really incredible here is just how customizable this is. You can tell the AI to schedule around your part-time job, your Tuesday night sports practice, or even your daily commute. It makes the study schedule fiercely realistic and tailored entirely to your life. You don't have to waste mental energy figuring out what to tackle on day 7. The plan is completely mapped out for you, so you literally just sit down and execute.
All right, now that we're organized and our customized study plan is mapped out, let's move to section 2, master complex concepts instantly. This is where we break through all that confusion using your new 24/7 AI tutor.
We all hit those totally frustrating roadblocks where a concept just refuses to click, right? Instead of going down a rabbit hole of dozens of videos online hoping someone explains it clearly, try this brilliant prompt. Explain this topic like I'm a 10-year-old with real-life examples. This actually ties directly into the famous Feynman technique, which basically states that if a concept cannot be explained simply, you don't truly understand it. By forcing the AI to use real-life analogies, it builds those necessary bridges between dense academic language and your existing knowledge base. Suddenly, things like quantum physics, cellular biology, or ancient history actually make intuitive sense.
The crucial takeaway here is that AI isn't just a fancy search engine. It acts as your personal, completely untiring tutor. So you should be constantly asking it probing questions whenever you feel stuck. Ask it things like, why is this formula used? Or give me another example. Tell it to explain step by step. But my absolute favorite technique here is flipping the script entirely. Tell the AI, ask me questions until I understand. This transforms your static screen into a dynamic, challenging tutor. It pulls you into a sort of Socratic dialogue, where your comprehension is rigorously tested in real time.
Okay, moving right along to the third phase. Let's see how this all builds into active recall so you actually retain what you've learned. This is test and retain knowledge.
Because reading alone, that is passive, and passive reading simply isn't enough for long-term retention. It creates this really dangerous illusion of competence. That's that feeling when you recognize a text on the page and mistakenly think you've actually memorized it. To actively test your knowledge before the exam and shatter that illusion, plug in this prompt, generate 20 multiple-choice questions from this chapter with answers. This acts as a harsh, but totally necessary reality check. It instantly creates a customized quiz tailored exactly to the material you just read, forcing your brain to physically retrieve the information way before the real stakes of the exam.
Now, AI is incredibly versatile in how it can test you, but the real trick is knowing exactly when to use which output. For example, you can have it instantly generate those quick-fire multiple-choice questions. You'll want to use these for testing raw dates, fast facts, and basic vocabulary definitions. But on the flip side, you can ask it to create 10 really difficult subjective questions for revision. You should switch to these complex, long-form essay questions when you need to synthesize major themes for a final paper, or when you need to rigorously test your deep, conceptual understanding of a broad topic. Furthermore, utilizing a prompt like "convert these notes into flashcards for quick revision" totally transforms your static material into a highly dynamic study tool. Flashcards are an absolute powerhouse for learning because they leverage spaced repetition. By having the AI automatically format your bullet points into a flashcard structure, you are basically gaming your brain's natural forgetting curve. It forces you to recall information right as you're about to forget it, making this prompt honestly one of the most scientifically backed tools in our entire explainer for long-term memory retention. All right, in our fourth phase, we transition from just absorbing information to actually creating it. Let's look at perfecting your final output, focusing specifically on writing and ethics.
When it comes to your essays, assignments, and reports, AI is insanely powerful for polishing your final output. I mean, let's be honest, the absolute hardest part of writing is just staring at a blank page and trying to form your core argument. But once you've done the heavy lifting of figuring out your thesis, AI provides massive relief by stepping in as your personal copy editor. It completely removes the anxiety of perfect punctuation and syntax. It can seamlessly expand your vocabulary so your writing sounds much more professional, and it enhances your overall sentence structure. It basically just gets out of the way, allowing your brilliant ideas to shine through clearly. But, and this is a massive but, here is a truly critical conversation we need to have about the source material. You absolutely must use AI ethically. You use AI to learn, to refine, and to improve, not to copy assignments or outsource your thinking. It is totally fine to use it as a tool, but if you rely on it to do your thinking for you, you risk the AI hallucinating facts or completely stripping away your unique personal voice. A great way to think about it is this: AI can polish the car, but you, the student, absolutely must build the engine. Because at the end of the day, teachers ultimately value your original, critical thought.
Which brings us to our final section, the smart student's conclusion, taking a quick look at the future of studying.
Look, the reality is AI is not going to replace the fundamental act of studying. You still have to put in the real effort to learn the stuff. But it undeniably makes the process faster, smarter, and just far more effective by completely stripping away all the busy work. These tools are now freely available to absolutely everyone, which means the real competitive advantage goes to those who use them purposefully and strategically. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, provocative question to ask yourself as you prep for your next big exam. Are you going to let AI lazily replace your studying, or will you harness it as a tool to become the fastest, smartest learner in the room? The choice is absolutely yours.